Deep in the mountains of North Carolina, a groundbreaking program has for 25 years helped thousands of women stay out of jail. It's called Women at Risk, and it succeeds by showing authorities that women can do better in counseling and treatment instead of jail.
25 years ago, this sort of work was in its infancy. And the idea is that nonprofit organizations would come into a court system and suggest another way to go in sentencing and community treatment was really pretty unorthodox at best and radical in some people's minds at worst. We enraged one district attorney here years ago that he got a court order that banned us from the courtroom for a while. But we kept working with these clients, and we kept at this work in a fashion that began to turn people's minds to the benefits of what we were doing.
Women at Risk works in this community for several different reasons, and one of the reasons that it does work is they work through those community partnerships with the courts, with the detention center, with the sheriff's office, with the police department, with all those stakeholders there to make sure that what they're doing is very effective.
I was accused of shooting my ex. I was in a bad, abusive relationship. I was charged with assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injuries. I think I was facing about 10 years in prison. Instead, I was given a chance to come here.
Women like Irene agree to complete treatment, such as violence counseling, as a condition to avoid jail time. According to a study funded by the National Institute of Corrections, women who complete treatment are half as likely to go to prison after 3 years than those who begin but don't finish treatment. Good for the women, and Sheriff Duncan says it's good for the community too.
We know jail construction is the most expensive construction that we do. And when you start talking about people who really conservatively focus on tax dollars, and you start talking about cost effectiveness, if you're not doing something to keep them from coming back in and affect that recidivism rate, then we know what the cost of that's going to be, and it's extremely high. But working with several of our partners, and Women at Risk being one of them, we've been able to keep that population from getting out of control and actually been able to reduce it.
The average cost for state incarceration is $73 a day. The cost for Women at Risk is just $8 a day for drug treatment and family and job counseling.
So Diana is graduating today. I've worked really hard for this. These women showed me that through everything that they've gone through, that they can accomplish something, and this was actually one of my biggest accomplishments right now.
So every dime that we invest in jail alternative programs that are successful, I don't know that there's better money that we can spend.
If I hadn't started coming to Women at Risk, I don't know where I would be. They've turned me around, they've put me on the right track, and without their help, I have no idea where I would be.
We're in an important moment right now. On the one hand, we've got some extremely creative programs all around the country that are producing better outcomes for both victims and offenders. At the same time, we still have a world record prison population, and there's something wrong with that picture. In a society that relies so heavily on punishment is clearly, I think, failing in a moral sense and also in a practical sense, and is now affecting generations to come.
It's my obligation, as I see it, to make sure that levels of public safety are increased incrementally. The easiest thing I do is put people in prison. It takes no intellect to do that. What is really tough is to create programs for prevention, intervention, and reentry. It should be public policy of this country, this state, this city, and any other municipal subdivision to be committed to this.
In 1990, Joe Hines began the first of several innovative diversion programs in Brooklyn, New York, where he is the district attorney for Kings County. One of his favorite projects can be found in what was once a crime-ridden corner of Brooklyn called Red Hook.
There was a time period here in Red Hook where you literally could not walk through Red Hook. Crack was scary. You know, just to call a spade, crack was just scary. I didn't think Red Hook would survive.
We gave the unfortunate notoriety with the murder of our school principal, Patrick Daly, December 17, 1992. Put Red Hook on the map as an urban drug-ridden war zone, and there was literally gunfire in the streets.
It was a clear, delineated community in crisis, but also with residents who in 1992 finally said they'd had enough and decided to take a different approach, to take their community back, and to harness the power of the court system to really turn this community around.
The result was the Red Hook Community Court, where a single judge hears cases that under ordinary circumstances would go to 3 different courts: civil, family, and criminal. It's a holistic approach to justice that has changed thousands of lives.
I've been doing jail all my life. When I was 13, I got arrested for robbery. At the age of 18, for possession of a weapon, I spent 1 year in jail. At the age of 23, I was locked up for a robbery in the 3rd degree. I spent 5 years. I pretty much thought I was a bad person, but when I got to Red Hook and I was sentenced to do some trauma-focused therapy, and it helped me, you know, take a look at some of the circumstances that happened in my life, and to be 36 and to be a semester away from finishing school and to have a job to doing something that I love to do, it's pretty exciting for me.
Lamont's life is on a new track. He plans to study social work after graduating from community college. What's the secret to Red Hook's success?
Because social workers are on site, they can go down to the arraignment, right down to the jail cell, and at the arraignment, the clinic will have a recommendation to me as to what this person needs to get their life back on track.
Good morning, welcome to our weekly list meeting, which is a case conference of all the cases that are on the calendar. We're going to start with Todd Zarnoff. He's been testing negative consistently since January, so he'll be in court today.
I'm a little bit concerned with him graduating today. Are we going to do anything to kind of ease him from coming here on a regular basis, testing clean and seeing us?
The first time I came to Red Hook Court was when I was arrested for shoplifting. I would do anything I need to do to make money to continue my crack use.
Update from the clinic.
Since the last court date and for the past 6 months, Todd has tested negative for all substances and has consistently attended outpatient drug treatment. The clinic is pleased to recommend graduation today.
Clean today is great. It seems like you're doing everything you need to do.
100%, I could not have overcome my alcohol and drug abuse if it wasn't for this courtroom. This courtroom literally saved my life.
When I was in the traditional court, I had 2 choices on cases. It was pretty much in jail or out of jail. And in a community court, there's just so much that's involved. I could see right away that there are tools here that are going to help me be more effective and come up with better resolutions on our cases. Better for the defendants, but also better for the community and better for the court system. Many who stand where you're standing have been successful, but some have not. As social workers, as lawyers, as judges, we can give you the opportunity, but you're the one that has to do the work. The district attorneys dismissed both cases. The other one's on track to be dismissed and sealed. Congratulations, and a big round of applause.
Todd has a good chance of staying clean and out of trouble. According to the Red Hook Court, in 2010, defendants averaged 73% compliance with court orders. That's nearly 50% better than traditional New York City criminal courts. Community courts are thriving in other cities too, from Portland, Oregon, to Indianapolis, to Philadelphia, and many cities in between.
Still working in justice? Yes! We didn't come by and say hi, dude. Red Hook Community Justice Center. So it's the community first.
In Red Hook, treatment and law are synthetic. They're integrated. There's an opportunity to realize both your legal interests and rights as well as your clinical needs and your needs to feel reconnected to your community.
While programs like Red Hook make a compelling case for alternatives, they are still the exception and not the rule, including in the world of juvenile justice. Just ask Anita Colon, an activist working on behalf of more than 470 juveniles sentenced to life without parole in Pennsylvania. One of those juveniles is her brother Robert, who, on his 16th birthday, agreed to be a lookout for a drug deal that ended in a murder he did not even see.
Even though my brother didn't witness the crime, certainly hadn't conspired to commit that crime, and didn't even know for sure the crime had occurred, because he had knowingly agreed to commit a felony, which was the drug deal, he was considered as culpable, as responsible for that death, as those that physically murdered the person. The United States is the only country in the world that sentences juveniles to life without any possibility of parole. Sentencing children to life without any possibility of parole clearly demonstrates just a lack of commitment to the future of our country and to the future of our children.
And yet, here in Pennsylvania, the same state where Anita Colon's brother is serving life, there is also impressive innovation. In Harrisburg, for example, local officials are using comprehensive counseling with emphasis on family and community to keep kids from going deeper into the system. It's called multi-systemic therapy, or MST.
Let's kind of tease out the cognitions a little bit. What do you guys...
Multi-systemic therapy is a lot like Nanny 911 for adolescents, in the sense that we come to the home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But the behaviors that we see are more of the antisocial type of behaviors, the aggression, the drug use, theft, the things that would get the children involved in the juvenile justice system. And before completely removing the child from the home or placing them in long-term detention, this is the last resort.
It doesn't do any good to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. We have a child that has a serious problem, and that problem more than likely stems from a family problem.
So the adolescent that I am working with was referred to us based on her verbal aggression, physical aggression, and truancy, fighting with other youth, verbally aggressive towards teachers and peers. Mom was pregnant when we opened, and she had a complicated pregnancy, and she also later gave birth to a child with Down syndrome. So it was a lot of strain on the family. But for this kid, as a result of working with MST, she didn't have to go into residential treatment. Good morning. How are you?
By keeping kids out of placement and in the home, multi-systemic therapy not only saves families, it saves taxpayers from footing the bill for expensive residential treatment. According to Dauphin County, MST programs cost about $72 a day per kid. Long-term residential facilities cost about $180 per day, and high-security facilities? Those cost $400 per day for each juvenile. On a county level, the numbers really add up.
In the last 2 years alone, because of MST and a number of alternatives we've been able to provide in Dauphin County, we've reduced our placement costs in this county by $4 million, and we've not compromised public safety.
And so for the school year, the first goal we had for you was to complete the school year, as evidenced by going to school daily, being on time, getting passing grades, and you did that. What were some of the reasons why you think you were successful?
I went to school every day on time.
Okay.
Did my work.
There's always someone there to watch her.
Right.
And to make sure she gets to and from school. It's always somebody there.
Right. I saw an improvement where she respected the boundaries of the household. Mom is the queen of the castle. She makes the rules, and you and your brother follow them.
So as we've learned through examining kids' brains and learning about family systems, I think as a field, we've come to see that kids have to be treated like kids. And in order to treat them like kids, we have to think of them within the context of their family. So if we can't focus on the family to help the kid, we're going to have no success at all.
According to Dauphin County, 71% of juveniles will not be locked up again within 18 months of completing multi-systemic therapy, and 79% will have no new arrests. Communities benefit, and families get stronger.
Here in Pennsylvania, we're now spending about $2 billion a year to lock up 52,000 inmates. the vast majority of those inmates have juvenile records. We can be doing a much better job of keeping young people, children, who show these early warning signs long before they hit the front door of the juvenile court, and ultimately have a significant impact in our state and national prison crisis.
How many times I got it? Thanks, Bobby. You got it done. All right, Todd.
For 25 years of the Sensing Project, we've been documenting the impact of Get Tough policies and recommending alternative approaches. I think we're at the point right now where the findings and recommendations that we and many colleagues around the country have been promoting are finally beginning to be heard in some substantial ways, and we remain cautiously optimistic that we can turn things around, we can produce better public safety policies now.